All right, let's get into it. We are about to go down a pretty fascinating rabbit hole, a worldview where one single line of commercial law is seen as the only thing standing between humanity and a future run by a tyrannical AI. It's this incredible mix of legal theory, high-tech fear, and deep spiritual beliefs. And it all kicks off with this phrase. Now, to most of us, this probably just looks like legal gobbledygook, right? But for the people who live and breathe this belief system, these few words are basically a declaration of independence. They're a key to unlock an entirely different reality. And that really is the central question we're digging into here. This isn't about computer code or hacking a server. It's about the belief that you can use a legal code to spiritually and lawfully opt out of a technological control grid that's being built all around us. Okay, so to get the solution, you first have to understand the problem they're trying to solve. And in this worldview, the problem is a massive, all-encompassing threat that they call the AI Antichrist. What's really striking here is just how specific this threat is. It's not some vague, shadowy evil. No, it's the final form of what they call a commercial control grid. Just try to imagine it. A single, global AI that knows everywhere you go, everything you buy, and everything you do. So from their perspective, the stakes are, well, they're absolute. We're talking about a future where you have zero autonomy, where people are just seen as assets, debt slaves on a giant digital ledger. The term they use, a digital vacuum, is pretty powerful, isn't it? Just this idea of it pulling everyone and everything into one single point of control. So you're facing this huge, high-tech threat. What's the defense? You might be surprised. It's actually incredibly low-tech. You're not going to find it in Silicon Valley. You'll find it tucked away in the Uniform Commercial Code. And that's the whole ballgame right there. You're fighting a technological code with a legal code. It's this collision of two completely different worlds that, frankly, makes this whole thing so fascinating. Now, the key thing to get here is the reinterpretation. UCC 1308 is a real piece of law, no doubt. In the real world, it's pretty dry stuff about business contracts. But in this world, whoa, it gets turned into something way more powerful. It's seen as a kind of legal spell, a secret override code that breaks the contract they believe the system holds over every person. Yeah, that's really the simplest way to think about it. In our super complex digital world, this is believed to be the one simple analog switch you can just flip to disconnect, to just say, I'm out. Believers use these phrases almost like lines of computer code. Each one is supposed to have a very specific job. Without prejudice, UCC 1308 is the firewall. Then there's this idea of being a living soul versus the corporate strawman. This is a huge piece of the puzzle. The belief is that when you're born, the government creates a legal fiction, a corporation, in your name, the strawman, and that it's this strawman that's subject to all the laws. So by declaring you're a living soul, you're trying to sever that connection. But okay, so you've disconnected. That's not the end of the story. Once you're unplugged from the old system, well, you need a new set of rules to live by. And this is where the whole worldview shifts from defense to creation. So check this out. It's really a two-part solution. If you think about it with a computer analogy, UCC 1308 is your firewall. It blocks all the incoming attacks from the system. But once you're secure, you need a new operating system to actually do anything. And for them, that's the universal laws. And within the logic of this system, it makes total sense. It's not enough to just reject the old world. You have to actively start building a new one. Otherwise, you're just floating in a void. This is where spirituality steps in to give them a real constructive blueprint. And this is basically the user manual for that new operating system. These are principles for how to live. You've got the law of vibration, which says your thoughts have a literal frequency you can change. The law of correspondence, as above, so below, means your inner reality creates your outer reality. It's a whole framework for taking back control of your own destiny. And this quote really gets to the heart of it. It's a deeply empowering idea. The philosophy is that you're not a victim of your circumstances. You are the conscious creator of your own life, working with some kind of higher power. So, where does all this lead? What's the ultimate goal of unplugging with law books and rebuilding with spiritual principles? Well, it's to become what they call a sovereign radiant multiplier. I know it's a mouthful, but let's break it down. Sovereign means you're legally independent, untouchable by the system. Radiant means you have this high spiritual vibration, you're full of positive energy. And multiplier, that means your state of being actually has a positive expanding effect on the world around you. It's the ultimate level up. So when you put it all together, the entire journey can be laid out in 4 pretty clear steps. It all starts with seeing the threat. Then you move to the legal act of separation. After that, you do the spiritual work of creation. And finally, you arrive at this completely transformed state of being. And that's really the whole narrative arc here. It's a story of transformation, right? It's about going from a powerless cog in a machine to becoming a self-directed, powerful creator of your own universe. So, let's zoom out for a second. What's the big picture here? What can we really take away from understanding this incredibly complex and self-contained belief system? I think the most important thing to get is that from the inside, this worldview is completely coherent. Every single piece fits together. There's a terrifying problem, and it's met with an accessible, low-tech solution. It gives people a path to not just defend themselves, but to thrive. And maybe the most brilliant part is that any pushback from the outside world, like getting into legal trouble, isn't seen as failure. It's seen as proof that the threat is real and that what they're doing is actually working. And that's maybe the ultimate takeaway. This whole thing is a powerful example of how people use old texts and spiritual concepts to try and navigate very modern anxieties, fears about technology, about control. And it leaves you with a pretty profound question, doesn't it? In a world that's getting more and more complex, how do any of us really decide what's real?